Welcome back to the Draft Rankings Show. I am Cody Carpentier, joined as always by the main man, Matty Key. Woom. We're still cooking. We're getting close. Inside of 3 weeks to the NFL Combine, and we're back every single day of the week. You can get the podcast 7 p.m. on YouTube on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then you can get it on podcast on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 a.m. We appreciate y'all for tapping and locking and clicking the like button, clicking subscribe, leaving 5 stars on pod because one asshat left us a 1 star, so it kind of messed up our ratings over there. So please go over there, drop 5 stars, tap in, lock in. And remember, you can get all 5 shows on podcast on the Draft Rankings podcast feed. The Draft Rankings podcast feed. You can only get 2 shows a week if you're only locked into the player profiler feed. So if you do come on over, we appreciate you. We love you for that. Matt Akiwum, today we're going to be talking about our mock drafts, our recent mock drafts that have dropped on respective sites. Your mock draft 4.0 has dropped at Player Profiler. My mock draft 2.0 has dropped at rosterwatch.com. You guys can go check those out. I'll link those at the bottom in the description here on YouTube. First off, Matt Akiwum, how you doing?
Well, if you look over at the hat, I heard my boys are back in the big game. So I'm very excited about that. Maybe by the time you're watching this, checking this out, you already know the outcome of the game. Shout out Patriots. Let's go, Drake May. Let's get another Super Bowl. I'm sure all you non-Patriots fans are delighted to hear me say that. But other than, just my team being back in the Super Bowl, things are great. It's mock draft season. Is there any better time of the year? You and I love football, but what we love is trying to predict what 32 GMs are going to do in the NFL draft.
One problem here. I just popped up your mock draft. I haven't looked at it. We haven't looked at each other's mocks before doing this. I just popped it up. I saw something very interesting. Share my screen.
My rankings, yeah. Because I did mine the June, I think it was January 19th. It was just how PFF had it. I don't know.
So, but you have the Super Bowl matchup right here. New England Patriots 31, Seattle Seahawks 32.
Yeah.
So you think Seattle is going to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl this weekend?
By this mock draft, you can make that conclusion, but that's not the truth. That's just how PFF had it when I made my template.
I'll just tell you, if I was, if the Minnesota Vikings had, let's say, kept Sam Darnold and traded J.J. McCarthy to the Raiders or something like this, I'm not sure if that would have ever happened, but maybe Kwesi Adofo-Mensah would still have a job. If the Vikings were in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, I would be the homer in that situation, and I would put the Vikings 32. I just want that to be.
You wouldn't. If you caught it before, you would have. But you did the same thing I did. You copied and pasted the.
No, I didn't.
From the internet.
I said
double chap nothing.
Seahawks are going to win. They're going to blow.
That's not what you think. That's not what you told me.
Blow New England out of the water.
That's not what you told me.
Big win.
The biggest win.
The biggest win of all time, Super Bowl 60. No. All right, let's get into it. Let's start back at the top here. It's starting to be mock draft season.
Yeah, baby.
Some would say SZN. Everyone's dropping the mocks this week. We dropped ours this weekend. I think yours came out on like Saturday. Mine came out on Monday. And number one's locked. It's a mortal lock. It's minus 10,000 at all the books. The Raiders are going Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana that just won the national championship. And then after that is when the questions and the conversations begin. Your 2-3-4 was Ruben Bain, edge rusher from Miami, to the Jets, Ty Simpson, the quarterback from Alabama, to the Cardinals, and then Carnell Tate, one of my favorite picks here. Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State, to the Tennessee Titans. Which one of these kind of was the toughest for you? And I want to talk about the Titans, but was it putting Simpson at 3 there because Kyler's still under contract, or was that just kind of a no hesitation type of a deal, or what?
So the way I do my mocks, and I'll just get this out of the way, is I'm not afraid to answer the projectability questions. I might be wrong. I might be wrong at every turn, but that's how I do this. And to me, once the NFL gives Ty Simpson around 1 grade, if that's the consensus amongst these 32 team builders, then he's just going to continuously go up. And when we get to your pick 13, I have a little bit of a soapbox I'd like to stand on. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So that was probably my toughest, my boldest take was putting Ty Simpson up there because I don't have him ranked this high. I don't necessarily get the vibe right now that the Cardinals are going quarterback, but it's kind of just what my process led me to believe. Now, if you listen to the whispers on the street, it sounds like 1, 2, 3 is feeling like it's getting closer and closer to being locked in. So we'll see what happens in Indy. We'll see what happens. But you're right. My toughest pick here was Ty Simpson. It was the boldest kind of. It is the longest shot prediction that I made.
So you bring up the consensus that's starting to flow out of mostly the NFL Network guys. They're all kind of in lockstep here
The
with
most plugged in
Mendoza.
guys that you're if you do this like we do this and you're trying to be sincere, you're
Yeah.
you're just being a hater if you don't take those guys'
Oh no.
mocks
Yeah.
to heart because they know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and DJ's the ringleader, and DJ comes out with something. It's going to be like the Mansour Delane thing. I think Delane, he had him at 5 to the Giants. Like that's starting to become a thing too. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't a conversation a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. Like Delane was a stud out of Virginia Tech, but he didn't exactly have the most elite 2025. And now you come out and it's like, okay, that's type of the thing you kind of peek your eye at. But the consensus you're talking about is 1, 2, 3 with Mendoza to the Raiders, Arvell Reese, the edge from Ohio State, to the Jets, and then Spencer Fano, the tackle, to the Cardinals. That's been the consensus of late. I want to talk about number 4, Carnell Tate. You put Carnell Tate here at 4 in my mock. I'll pop up on the screen here in a minute. I put Fano there, and I got attacked on Twitter by Titan fans, Titan accounts, Titan reporters saying you're wrong. They'll never go offensive tackle. They won't take a tackle in the first 3 rounds. They won't go offensive line in the first 3 rounds. And I'm thinking to myself, hold up. Wait a minute. Didn't y'all give up more than 50 sacks last year? Don't you got your quarterback up back there? Like, listen, I did that because of how the board fell for me. I did that because I could see the Tennessee Titans doing that because the front office that they have built the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, built the Kansas City Chiefs team. Right? And what they do once they got Pat, they got Creed Humphrey, they got Trey Smith, they went and spent money on tackles, they went out and got Joe Tooney. If Fano's there and you like Fano, I don't know how you don't add that tackle when you have a Dan Moore that you could move off of, or you could move down to guard. Like you can make moves, and I don't need to defend this thing here. You put Carnell Tate though from Ohio State there, which is a glaring need. They need a glaring wide receiver, glaring at edge, and in my opinion, offensive line. Was it tough? Did you have like obviously Bane's off the board here, but I think the Tennessee Titans are maybe the most interesting selection in the top 5. We'll talk about the Giants here in a second, but I think the Tennessee Titans are the most interesting here because they have so much need across the board. You could even potentially see these guys trade down and try and recoup another pick in the top 50 to get, a receiver later and to still get an edge that's a top 50 talent and try to knock out all 3 of these birds with the stone. I like Tate because they badly need a wide receiver 1. Obviously, Ridley wasn't the answer. DK is not going to be a number 1. A-Manor is not going to be a number 1. And then at edge, I think it's very interesting. You have Bane off the board. I have Reese off the board at this point. Who fits that defense? Who fits what Bob Saleh wants? Is it Bailey? Is it Reese? Is it Bane? Is it Parker? Like when I think of Robert Saleh, I see who he's had success with. It's Nick Bosa. It's Will McDonald. I'm like, well, Will McDonald, I guess the closest thing to Will McDonald is probably David Bailey, but Will McDonald's a little more stringy, a little more
Longer,
flexible. And
no more TJ Parker.
Nick Bosa, and I'm like, none of these guys are Nick Bosa.
Right.
So I have trouble with edge. And then with receiver, it's like I said, like I think you can come back potentially being the Titans. They have $100 million to spend in free agency too. Let's not forget about it.
Bingo.
I think
That's
it's a
where
very,
we'll know.
very, very interesting spot.
It's right now. Well, but this is also a spot where we might have it locked in, loaded, based on what they do in free agency. Because I think right now, receiver, line, and edge are the glaring needs. If they trade back to scoop up a Caleb Downs at the end of the top 10, maybe that's plan A. I don't know what their plan is. There's a lot of ways they can go. But what I will say about them and why you probably got so much hate about the Spencer Fanu call is that them taking a lineman here is an admission of failure for 2 first-round picks. Now, I know Peter Skorsky's been good, but they took a guard. Yes. You
Why?
if they nailed JC Latham and nailed Skorarsky, you're not now using a third first round pick when you need a receiver so badly.
No, no,
And
no,
there
no,
are
no.
guys like Tate there.
I think you let Zeitler walk out the door. You let Skaronski or Dan Moore, one of them, go to right guard. The other one plays left guard, and then
Right,
you
but
plug him
you're
in
right.
at left tackle or
But
right
if
tackle.
JC Latham was a seventh overall pick talent and was doing what a seventh overall pick should be doing, and Skronsky was also doing a top 12 pick and doing what he's supposed to be doing, you don't have the pressure to take an offensive lineman with a top 4 pick when there isn't a franchise altering guy here.
That's the point. That's the point.
So if there was, if
Joel,
Joel, yes. If there was like a no doubter, yes, we'll make all these changes. But by taking a Fanu, by taking even a Maui Gnoa or Caden Proctor, if he can rise through the ranks, taking a tackle, taking a lineman is just admitting you need to put more guys on that line. You have to invest way more. Now, the evidence on tape, the evidence in the metrics all say that they do need to add. They could do it in free agency. They could do it in the draft. So I don't think it's a bad pick taking Fano, but that is why I believe the fans are crying about seeing yet another offensive lineman as a top 12 pick because it just hasn't been the sexy pick. It hasn't worked. And there's been other guys taken in these ranges that have been the sexy pick. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I think where you're coming from is logical. And if I was the team builder, I would absolutely consider it. You should do it. You should always solidify the trench. But if they do take it, it is a bit of them admitting to their fans, like, hey, let's just take another early offensive lineman, third one in 4 years.
yeah, I get it. That's the problem, but that's what I gave him. Fifth overall, you went Giants taking Caden Proctor. They go back to the Bama well. Fano goes to the Browns at 6. Jeremiah Love to the Commanders at 7. We know the Commanders showed some love for Brees Hall about a year ago in the trade market. He will be a free agent this year, so we'll see what happens with that. But they definitely want running back, and they don't go after one and pay one. Love could definitely be on the market there. Jordan Tyson to the Saints at 8. Arvell Reese to the Chiefs at 9. That is a fit. I love that. And then you have David Bailey, who pairs edge with Shamar Stewart as they let Hendrickson walk away. My top 10 here to compare and contrast. I went Mendoza. I put Reese at 2 to the Jets. Maui Goa at 3 to the Cardinals, where you went Ty Simpson. 4, I went Fanu to the Titans. We talked about that before. 5, I guess I went chalk with the NFL Network guys. Put Delane at 5. I put Carnell Tate at 6 to the Browns. I don't have real cojones on this. Like I don't have like a real like take on Carnell Tate here, other than the fact that I think they need an alpha. I love Bond in that offense. I think Judy can probably be fine, but Judy could also be a cut candidate this year. I think Cedric Tillman's a good number 2, but I think Carnell Tate could come in and be a number 1. I'm dry today, dude. I've almost drank a gallon of water, and I'm dry. After that, I have Caleb Downs going 7 to the Commanders. Tyson, same as you, 8 to the Saints. Chiefs going Ruben Bain at 9. Bengals going Caleb Banks, or as Mike McCarthy would say, Caleb Banks. To the Cincinnati Bengals, getting another interior guy. They haven't had a bruiser on the interior of that defensive line since Geno Atkins, and I think they could potentially use that as well. So there's the closing number of our top 10s. I think the only similar picks we have is Tyson at 8 and Fernando at 1. I think that's our only matching picks.
Yeah, but we're also very interesting here. You can flip flop Reese and Bain, so we kind of have a
Yeah.
kind of similar thinking as to what the team's approach will be. And I think now after kind of seeing every single guy, including Mel Kiper, saying Reese number 2, I'd have to be kind of a hater to not put him there. So I probably would make that switch, but then I'd probably have Bain at 4 if I were going to make that switch around. But yeah, we're a little bit different. I think Tyson, though, let's talk about Tyson and the Saints, because he's a playmaker that complements the offense so well. It's tough for me to see him falling outside of the top 10.
Is Is he the fit though?
I think so. I think you know because I don't believe that he is necessarily the target hog. I don't think that's his profile. Where I think that's Olave's kind of role, but could he be? He's more of a gadget guy. He's more of a he's built. He can kind of get him the ball at the line of scrimmage and let him make plays with it. He kind of draw things up with him. He's like a nice complement to an offense that is on the rise with Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave and company.
So interesting nugget here is a lot of injuries with Jordan Tyson, a lot of
Yeah.
injuries with Tyler Shook, and they were fine going in on him. Um, the other side would be Carnell Tate coming in at 6'3", 205, would potentially be kind of your Michael Thomas, your new Michael Thomas in that offense. Another
Marquise
option
Colston.
would
Don't hate
be
on
for the
Marquise Colston.
Saints to go with a former Louisville receiver in the second round and pair him with Shook. We talked
Yep.
about that corollary before, taking Chris Bell in round 2 and then completely passing on receiver here. I don't know if they should. I think they should go receiver or edge, depending on the Cam Jordan stuff. But yeah, I think I like Tyson here, but there's been some mocks where I've seen Tyson fall to 20 or
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, he
So
started to fall a little bit.
he's going to be a volatile piece here.
Health, you
At
mentioned it.
11,
That'll sink your draft stock.
what, the injuries?
Yeah, injury concerns, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't anticipate him running very fast, so that's probably not going to help either.
Hmm.
Number 11 for the Dolphins, we both had corner. You went Mansour Delane. Delane was off the board for me, so I went Avion Terrell. We both saw the need for the Dolphins there. 12 for the Cowgirls. I went David Bailey from Texas Tech, who was already off your board. You went Caleb Downs, who was already off my board as well for the 12 spot right there. And then we become the 13th overall pick, which is the Rams. So I went Ty Simpson,
Mm-hmm.
and Matty Kiwoom went a different direction, and we'll let him talk about why. But he went Francis Mauigoa, the offensive lineman from Miami. I think guard, tackle. I think it really just depends. And we got them old tackles with the Rams right now, so he might start at guard or play tackle off the rip. I'm not sure yet, but I like the fit. I'm going to cheat.
Cheat away.
So you went corner at 29.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go tackle corner for the Rams. Remember, they have 2 first-round picks
Yes.
because of the trade last year with Atlanta to go up and get Pierce. So I went Ty Simpson at 13, the quarterback from Alabama. He's already at the board for you, but I went Ty Simpson there, and then I went Max Ianachor, the tackle from Arizona State. So I went tackle,
Yep.
which we both had in mind, but instead of corner, I went quarter at 13th overall. If Ty Simpson doesn't go 3 for you to the Cardinals and he's available at 13, do you take him there or do you pass on him? Because I've seen some mocks who have a pass on him and then they come back and they circle back with Simpson to the Rams with the second Rams pick.
So for me, doing this mock, it came down to answer this very question. Will Ty Simpson be there at 13, and will the Rams use their luxury pick on a guy like Ty Simpson? And based on what, kind of reading between the tea leaves, kind of diving into everyone's mocks, everyone has Ty Simpson taking the Rams. Todd McShay's on his podcast saying, don't discount that. Which I think is smart on the Rams play. I think when you are either a good team that has a bad year, like the Commanders, you could take a luxury pick. That's why I have them taking Jeremiah Love, a luxury pick. A top 10 running back isn't great process, but Jeremiah Love is a value at pick 5. When you talk about pound for pound, player for player, football players in this class, in my opinion. So I think the Commanders having a chance to take a luxury pick, and then the other situation is having 2 first-round picks. Being a good team with 2 first-round picks, you could take a player that isn't going to start. Like you could take a player that is not going to help your Super Bowl chances, and it's not bad process. And it seems as if the whispers coming from the NFL world is that yes, Les Snead, Sean McVay are going to be in on Ty Simpson. Great. Love that call. I think Ty Simpson is an early round pick. I am at pick 3, so I'm not against that notion. Here's what kind of chaps my ass, Cody. If the NFL world is saying that the Rams are connected to Ty Simpson. Okay. Him going 29 means one thing. The NFL does not label Ty Simpson as a first round pick. But Cody, if Ty Simpson decided to not declare or not go to Miami and make $6 million and fight for a national championship, don't you think he got word that he's a first round pick amongst NFL teams, not just the Rams? And if that is the case, there is no way on God's green, beautiful earth that he is there at 29. Not when you have all of these teams needing picks, not when you have the Los Angeles Rams having a luxury pick in the top 13. Your mock has him going 13. If you believe that the Rams like Ty Simpson, you're just kind of soft launching instead of being
Ten toes
pumping your chest
down.
up. 10 toes down. Be proud of the chest. Put it up in the air. He goes 13. If the Rams label him a first round pick, which by all of these mocks they do, then he's going 13. He's not going 29. That just doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't make any sense when you are this close to the NFL draft and you kind of follow the patterns. And again, I like the pick though. I like the pick, but again, Rams with this luxury pick in my situation, they didn't have a chance at Simpson. They didn't have a chance at the top two receivers. They took a player that they'd be super excited to be available at 13. Francis Mauigoa has the top 5 ceiling that we're seeing in mock, seeing in your mock. I completely agree. He is a nasty offensive lineman wherever he finds a home in the NFL. But if the Rams are in on Simpson, he's going 13, folks, not 29.
Well said. I think I would agree. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. So, and I also like the Rams have always made sense for quarterback. We've talked about it back to the John Mateer before he
Right.
said he was going back to school. Would it even shock you if the Rams moved up? If the Rams knew that Stafford might retire, where the Rams knew even he was a year away, but they thought, we've looked at the guys next year, and even if we think Dante Moore is going to be good, okay, Arch, okay, Saying, okay, those are all going to be like top 10 picks.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here at 13, and we have the ability to go from 13 to, let's say, I don't know, 10, get ahead of the Dolphins, get up into that 10, whatever you got, whatever juggling you think you need to do. Maybe you think you need to get to 5. Get ahead of the
Browns. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever you think you need to do if you're the Rams, I wonder if it definitely is going through their brain if they are in this conversation with Simpson. But would you rather, as they say, take the bird in the hand or 2 in the bush and take Simpson at 13 or move up and try to get Simpson because Simpson's going to be good because you can put him behind Stafford for a year, or wait till next year and potentially win the Super Bowl and be picking at 32 and just be caught with your drawers on your ankles and your hands taped to your ankles because you decided not to be proactive. That doesn't strike me as a Ram play.
No. F them picks, baby. Not replenish them picks. That's not the t-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Not let's
stockpile picks. It's not the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Leslie doesn't have him stockpile them picks on his mug.
Unless everyone's going to retire. Everyone, GM, coach, quarterback, everyone's going to retire, and you just want to ambush. I don't think the Cronkies are going for that.
Right. And listen, would they like to trade back and get a top 10 pick next year by one of these idiot teams moving up? Sure. But so would everyone in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's everyone's plan A. Everyone, even the first overall pick, wouldn't they love to trade back and get into two first next year and have 2 top 5 pick? Yeah, but you can't promise any of that. Like you said, 1 in the hand, worth 2 in the bush. And let's not project. Let's just perceive. Let's look at reality. He spurns Miami in reportedly $6 million to go to the NFL draft. Dante Moore, John Mateer, Lenore Sellers, all these kids go back to school. And what did we say months ago? That the quarterback 2 position would be decided, everyone else would go back. That's almost literally what we said. That whoever gets the QB2 nod from the committee goes back. And maybe it was Ty Simpson because Dante Moore couldn't do the whole thing while he's still playing. I don't know how that works. Don't know. Don't matter. But he turned down Miami for $6 million to go to the NFL draft. That I think we can perceive that that was because he got a first round draft tag by the NFL draft committee. Okay. Fair? Is that fair to assume?
Yes.
That's not a leap of faith, right? That seems pretty obvious, right? Step two, every single person with NFL draft knowledge, your Kuipers, your Daniel Jeremiah's, your Tom Shays, we love them all. We highly respect those guys. They're the OGs, they're the Godfathers. We love those guys. Every single one of them have told us through their mocks or through their reporting, the Rams like Ty Simpson enough to take him in the first round. Two facts that we could pretty much say is true. With just that knowledge, what's more likely? That he goes up the draft board throughout the draft process or he falls backwards in the draft process? I happen to think he is just going to keep going up because these QB needy teams are going to find out the guy ahead of him wants a QB. Oh, shit. Oh, and there it goes. And there it goes. And that's how he becomes the number 3 pick. So you're telling me here, if the Rams like Simpson and he becomes a top 10 consensus pick by the NFL draft scouting world, why wouldn't you, if you're the Rams, take a second round pick? You could probably even keep pick 29. Move 13 in a second, move 13 in whatever. You can make it work to get inside the top 10, move up 3 picks, and get the guy. I think that's way more likely than they move back, if you want to be honest.
What about the Jets?
Dude, there's a world where we're all looking back on these mocks that we're looking big. Obviously, Simpson was the second overall pick. The Jets need a freaking quarterback. Sometimes it is that simple. Supply and demand.
Sometimes it's just that simple. All right, continuing on your mock, I scrolled down a little bit for those on the podcast. I'm not going to read them all off, but I'm going to scroll down to a couple of picks I think are interesting. One, TJ Parker to the Carolina Panthers at 19 overall. We both hit on Clemson at this selection. You went Parker. I went Peter Woods. And then I came back in round 2 with a guy named Jacob Rodriguez.
Oh,
which got me a little bit tingly on the inside.
that gets the engine going.
So talk me through TJ Parker. We talked about TJ Parker on the Monday show. You guys should go back and listen to that. But talk to me about TJ Parker to the Carolina connection. You had a little write-up here. You also talked about Akeem Mesidor. Mesidor was available as well. And then Jennings Dunker name is just tickling the screen. But TJ Parker to the Panthers.
Yeah, TJ, I mean, he's an edge rusher. I mean, he showed it down in Mobile. This guy's going to continue to climb the ranks. And again, I did this mock before the Senior Bowl, so I just never really lost the North Star when it comes to a guy like TJ Parker. I think he has the prototypical NFL size, and he has the skill set to be a difference maker at the NFL level, and that makes you a first-round pick if you play the edge position. And the Panthers have just been so needy for this type of guy, and they drafted 2 guys last year I like, but I don't know if they're the ceiling of a TJ Parker. So I think the question that we will hope gets answered, as we keep doing these mocks is, do they believe that their edge rushers that they selected last year will take a step up? Because if they do, I think, your Peter Woods or your Kelvin Banks or your Caden McDonald's, your big boys in the middle, they can fit that slot just as easily. I think edge and D tackle, I think, is where the Panthers will look. I think that's where they will draft in the first round. And last year they went receiver. They took the number 1 receiver off the board. This year, I think they go back to the well and try to get guys that can get after the quarterback. So I think Woods is a good pick too.
I think they're both good. They're both obviously local, and these guys have been watching these guys for the last 3 years. I think they go in that direction. You had the Steelers taking wide receiver Mekhi Lemon at 21. I think I had Lemon gone a few picks earlier to the Jets. In round 1, I put Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety from Toledo, to the Steelers. I did a second round, and I came back in round 2 with Malachi Fields. So I got a safety and then Malachi Fields in that turn, the way I did that. If you're team building, would you prefer Mekhi Lemon? I think I would. 1 for 1 with that kind of like thinking about going safety, for example. I guess this Pittsburgh thing might be a little bit different this year without Mike T there and more of an offensive-minded coach. where we generally, I mean, for the last 15 years, we haven't seen this from Pittsburgh. Kind of like how we haven't seen it from Green Bay, dating back to, was it Javon Walker when they went receiver
Mm.
in round one. Steelers generally haven't had to. Um, Mekhi Lemon feels like he's just, if he's there at 21, that's going to be, I don't know, man. I talked to some people in Mobile, and it was like very different thoughts on Mekhi Lemon, which I thought was kind of absurd because I thought he was going to start approaching overall wide receiver one conversation.
And he has in some of the mocks we're seeing coming out. There's going to be a wide range from Lemon. It feels like we're going to get two guys in the top 12, and then will one go in the top 15 or top 20? You have him going top, 15, 16 to the Jets. I think that would be a smart pick. It seems like they could go wide receiver, absolutely. But if the Steelers can get one of these top 3 receivers, they'd be crazy not to, because DK's good, but DK's not a number one. He's not. Point blank period. Straight up and down like 6 o'clock. He's not a number one. He's a really, really good number 2. Now, is Mekhi Lemon the number 1? Like as you said, that I guess is a question that I thought was a little more murkier than I kind of anticipate. I like Lemon. I think he can be a number 1. I do think he has a skill set to be the number 1 target earner on a team, but he's not available in your mock. But I do like the fact that the Steelers now have a bit of uncertainty that we just haven't had since we've been doing this damn thing, because it's the first time we've seen a new head coach in what feels like 100 years.
Just to be transparent, I did put Mekhi Lemon 16 to the Jets, and as we're talking through it, I feel redundant doing that with him and Garrett Wilson. I think could still work, but then that makes your wide receiver room basically Garrett Wilson, Mekhi Lemon, probably Adonai Mitchell.
That's a nasty 1, 2, 3 though, because you could really put Lemon in the slot, let
Yeah,
him just absolutely terrorize, and then the versatility with him and Garrett Wilson. I mean, the offensive coordinator would have a lot of fun, but here's where that might fall flat. Who's going to throw him the ball?
well, if it's Simpson and not Fields,
Simpson and Lemon. I mean, that'll get the Jets fans. I think
that yeah,
it gets the people going.
that would get people going. Also, remember this could be the Pittsburgh thing. We just talked about Pittsburgh. They're hosting this year. They could pull the ever elusive back to back host goes wide receiver for the first time in forever in round one with like a Mekhi Lemon. That would be.
They also could move up. Don't get it twisted. They could move up.
We'll see how aggressive they are with the departure of Mike T. Different conversation, but Mike T not having a job kind of bewildering to me. I feel like it has to be a choice.
Yeah, I thought I read that somewhere, that he wants to go give me a ton of money to talk on camera. He wants to do what we're doing, but get paid gajillions of dollars. I thought I saw that somewhere.
No, dude, come on. That guy goes to like every pro day. You know how many times I've seen him at a pro day?
He can still go to every pro day, but now he can get paid way more money and have zero pressure.
Yeah, but that's not my point. My point is like he's a football dude. Like he's in the mud.
He's football on camera and make a gajillion dollars and not have any pressure.
Guys, he's too good of a coach, but I get it.
He is too good of a coach. He'll be back. Don't get me wrong. Even if he wants to take a year or two off. I mean, look, Sean Payton did it. A lot of guys do it.
22. We both went Jennings Dunker, offensive lineman from Iowa. We talked about him on the Monday show. You guys should go check that out. You went Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon to Philadelphia here. I'm just about done with all my tight end stuff, and I mean that dude. He just looks different than everybody else. His tight end class is fine, but he just looks different. You went Sadiq. I went Oliva Vega Ione, the offensive lineman from Penn State. I think I might have got that right, but I went interior offensive line for Penn State as well.
Yeah, I think that we'll know a little bit more about the Howie Roseman pick when we see free agency play out. Dallas Goedert is a free agent, but we also know how important the tight end is to not only the Eagles of past, but probably Eagles of future. The new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion. Look what he did with Tucker Kraft. I know he was a QB coach, so he didn't call the plays, he didn't orchestrate the offense, but he was there working in an offense that really highlighted the tight end. So I think tight end will be very important for this for the Eagles. So if they let go of Goddard, Sadiq is definitely in play. If not, offensive line would be a very smart pick because they do need to shore up the trenches a little bit.
26, we both went wide receiver. You went Denzel Boston from Washington to go to Buffalo and be their outside wide receiver. I went Casey Conception, the receiver from A&M. It's got a little bit of burn, probably going to be the Z. to go to Buffalo. So we're both locked in as far as wide receiver goes. I sent Sadiq, the tight end, to 49ers, whereas we just talked about you went to the Eagles.
That'd be fun.
You had Emmanuel Pregnon going to the Texans. I had Emmanuel Pregnon going to the Texans. That team, I think, just needs offensive line, offensive line, and to hope that CJ Stroud kind of gets out of his funk, which I think he can and will with some protection and potentially Tank Dell returning to the situation. You sent Chris Johnson, the cornerback, to the Rams. I sent Max Ianachor, the offensive tackle from Arizona State. Max Ianachor, another interesting one that hasn't played football very long. He was a kid that played soccer in the middle, not the Middle East,
In
in
Africa,
Africa,
I
Nigeria,
believe.
and came over. Great feet. Went to JUCO. The offensive line coach was at the JUCO, I think, or
No,
somewhere.
he was getting recruited to like Fresno State, one of those
Fresno
like
State.
smaller Cali schools,
There you
and
go.
then Dillingham hired him. So then he kind of like convinced him to go to Arizona State, and despite not really having a track record of a lot of playing time in football in general, not even just at a high level, just in general, he got kind of thrown to the fire, and he did well with it. And he killed it in Mobile. And the funny thing about this Rams pick, you picked one of the biggest risers, and I picked probably the biggest faller. Chris Johnson down in Mobile, he's probably going to fall outside of my top 100 now. To be honest, it was just I had a lot of hope for him, but when it comes to these small school kids, you got to produce, you got to show that you can have competition, and the stickiness was just not there in Mobile. He just was looking like he was just getting mossed. It looked like he was losing reps. He just couldn't stick to nobody, and I just think a lot of cornerbacks will get ahead of him throughout the process. So he's probably going to be my biggest follower.
Interesting. Yeah, Ianachor had a great week. He was not quite the Dunkers level, but he has the traits. This dude's a massive human being that moves way too well for what he is and who he is. Catching dudes in like spin moves for dudes that are like new to the sport that shouldn't be doing this. 34-inch arms and just the fluidity he moved with. It was like right on day one. It was like, all right, I don't know about this whole situation. Day two comes on, he's even better. I was like, okay, caught me. And then day three was even better than that. Ianachor had a great week in Mobile. I think put himself into this conversation to be a first-round pick potentially. Last couple picks of the draft in round one. I had a round two. You didn't have a round two, right? No.
No, I'll start ramping up some round twos in a little bit.
Okay, so look for that over at Player Profiler. But the final three picks of round one, Maddie sent Elijah Surratt, wide receiver from Indiana, his guy to Denver. Calls him Slant Boy 2.0. 31st overall, we both went New England Patriots, taking Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker from Texas. I mean, I thought of this pick, man. When I put this thing in here, I go, you know what Vrabel sees in Anthony Hill?
What's that?
Himself.
Yeah, I like
plus
that.
himself
I like
plus.
that.
And then you took Joshua Josephs to the Seattle Seahawks. I like Josephs. I've kind of cooled on him a little bit for no reason outside of anything other than this edge class is disgustingly deep. So he didn't make round one for me. I went Brennan Cisse, the cornerback from South Carolina, to the Seahawks at 32. And then my 30th pick was CJ Allen, the linebacker from Georgia, to Denver. You can go get both of our full round one mocks over at playerprofiler.com for Maddie and at rosterwatch.com for myself. Cody Carpentier, Maddie Kiewum, the draft ranking show every single week, Monday and Wednesday. And then I have the solo on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for 10 minutes. Every single night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and 7 a.m. the following morning on podcast. Remember to click that like button, click subscribe, stay locked in, stay tapped in all throughout the pre-draft process. Maddie, one player we didn't talk about today is going to be in this next mock draft for you. Give me one. I'm catching you off guard right now. But just give me one name.
So the one guy that'll definitely be in it, I'll give you a fun one, and I'll give you a kind of a boring one. The boring one will be CJ Allen. It seems like the draft budget on this kid being a round one pick is as set in stone at this point as you can get. So he will be someone that will get into my round one going forward. But someone else that I do kind of, I don't know if I want to put the old, what do you want to call it, the thing in Harry Potter, when they predict what house you go in. So I don't want to just put on the old prediction hat, but someone else that's going to get into my round one is actually somebody that you did have in your round one. and that's EMW. The more I watch the safety from Toledo, the more I see a player that is going to be nasty in the NFL. And I was a little skittish. You can call me little kitty cows, little kitty cow about the rankings because I like the players high on my big board. I just didn't know if multiple safeties get in round one. But it sounds to me like there might be 2 or 3 safeties that could go in round one. And it's definitely going to be my man, Emmanuel McNeil Warren.